I'm going to be speaking about balancing spiritual practice with everyday life. And the reason I'm speaking about this is because a lot of people have asked me about this, particularly recently. And I know that it's one of the big stumbling blocks, one of the big barriers that people have to really taking that next step in their spiritual development. Life gets busy and things get in the way, and a lot of people go, but I just don't have time for this and I don't have time for that. And so I kind of wanted to bust the myth about spiritual practice, first of all, about it being this really time-consuming thing, and that there's just no point because I don't have time to spend so many hours in my day doing meditations and spiritual rituals and journaling and setting intentions or communicating with the spirit team or whatever it is that you think spiritual practices entail. And I don't want that kind of belief to get in the way of really expanding your consciousness, raising your vibration, and really taking that next step in spiritual development. The first thing I want to say is that spiritual practice does not have to take hours out of your day. And also, it's not actually separate from your everyday. Okay, so it's getting away from the idea of thinking of it as a separate thing, another thing you have to fit into your busy day. Because spiritual practice and spirituality is less about what you do and more about a way of being. I mean, there's a saying, there's an old, and I can't remember the exact saying, but it goes something along the lines of it's like an old Reiki saying of, in between spiritual life, you still have to fetch water and chop wood. And basically what that means is, although we are spiritual beings and we need to develop that and come back to remembering that, we are also human beings with jobs and responsibilities and all sorts of things. So, we also have to do human being things. It's not just about doing spiritual being things. So the way I like to see it is it's kind of like who you are rather than what you do. So, for example, things like doing good deeds, buying that sausage roll from Greg's for the homeless person sitting on the high street, taking a walk in nature, because walking in nature is an amazing spiritual practice because it grounds you. First of all, it grounds your energy into earth energy, and it also gets you in touch with elemental beings. So that alone. So if you've got a dog and you have to walk a dog, all I would say is it's a slight change in, mindset when you're doing that. So instead of just seeing it as another thing you've got to do that day, it could be that while you're walking the dog or taking a walk yourself in nature, you're doing it with a consciousness and an awareness and an appreciation and a gratitude of what's around you, taking in the beauty, feeling the breeze on your face, maybe touching the bark of a tree, just really kind of soaking it in. That is an amazing spiritual practice. Things like caring for your body, eating good food, exercising, those are spiritual practices, okay? And you can even swap up whatever exercise you do for something like yoga. It's things like leading with love, showing kindness, forgiveness, setting boundaries. I mean, that's a big one, right? So setting boundaries, saying no when you want to say no instead of saying yes, and letting someone drain your energy, being careful of who you allow around you and how much time you allow people around you that might be kind of like energy vampires, being mindful of what you watch on television and things like that. These are all spiritual practices that don't take up any more time, okay? It's just a different way of being. It's a different consciousness. It's a different awareness. Like being aware of your thoughts and emotions. So catching yourself when you're having negative thoughts or gossiping or thinking unkindly about someone, honoring your emotions instead of pushing them down, okay? These aren't things that necessarily take extra time. They're just things that take an awareness of yourself and of your soul. Things like being kind to animals, picking snails up off the pavement and putting them on the grass so they don't get stepped on. Little kindnesses like that's hugely, highly spiritual practices that those are. Those are all things that all of us can do. Okay, they don't take extra time. All it takes is a little bit of practice, a little bit of a change of mindset, a little bit of a different kind of awareness and a different kind of consciousness. But it's not like additional things you have to do in your day. And all of those things come from a love vibration. All of them come from a love vibration. And what could be more spiritual? Because universal energy is all around love. Okay, it's a love frequency. That's all the universe knows is the love frequency. So as long as what you're doing stems from love, then that's the most spiritual thing you can do. And even the additional things that you kind of might feel you do have to add into your day, for the things that do take extra time, so I guess like the meditations, maybe you want to do some rituals around maybe the moon cycles or whatever it is. You want to do some visualization to help with your manifesting what you want into your life. Obviously daily protect and cleanse your energy, journaling. Those are things that, yes, okay, you are going to have to set time aside to do that, preferably daily. But I always say anything is better than nothing. And also, it always comes down to a matter of priority, doesn't it? Because you can literally do, if you did a 15-minute meditation every day, that would, within 30 days, I can promise you that's going to change your life. Okay? And so you have to think about, so what are you going to cut out for those 15 minutes? What, 15 minutes of scrolling social media on your phone? 15 minutes of watching crap on Netflix? It's definitely a matter of priorities and how important it is for you. But don't think that you have to sit down and do an hour of meditation, okay? Because I'm sure you probably hear spiritual teachers and spiritual gurus all the time online talking about how they do an hour or two of meditation every day. You don't have to do that. If you can do that, amazing, incredible. But you don't have to do that. And don't think that doing a 10 or 15 meditation every day is a waste of time, because I can promise you it can be life-changing, okay? Things like protecting and cleansing your energy. Again, that doesn't have to take a long time. Like, I literally do that within, 10 minutes, maybe not even that, in the morning and the evening. And the more you do it, the quicker it is, the quicker you can cleanse your energy, because it's all about using intention, and that becomes a lot more natural and a lot easier the more you do it. And I teach all of this in my programs that I run. And actually, eventually, when you're leading with love, and you're coming from that place of love all the time, your vibration, you're changing your mindset, and you're changing all these things that I teach all the time. Your vibrational frequency ascends, okay? And the higher your vibrational frequency is, the less you have to cleanse your energy, because these lower vibrational things will not attach to your field anymore, because your vibrational frequency is too high. Okay, so you won't even have to do that eventually. But again, it doesn't have to take long. Things like journaling. Journaling's great. If you've got 20 minutes to spend journaling every day or a few times a week, that's incredible. If you don't, you can do it in your head, literally while you're doing other things. So you're cleaning the house. Okay, we'll do that journaling in your head. And again, that's something I teach in my programs. Setting intentions and visualizing. So setting intentions for the day, I always say, is amazing, because it lets the universe know what you intend, how you intend to feel that day, what you want to call in that day, or what you want support with that day. So, and visualizing what it is that you want to call into your reality, because we know that visualizing with emotion is the quickest way to manifest. And you can do that when you're stuck in traffic. I mean, who's not stuck in traffic every day? Okay, you can do it when you're standing in a queue, when you're commuting, if you go on a train to work or whatever. Very easily. It doesn't take long. So instead of sitting there in traffic getting pissed off because there's another set of temporary traffic lights, you can sit and visualize. Use that time. You know, if you're running late for work and you're stuck in traffic, what's the point in getting pissed off? You're going to be late anyway, whether you're pissed off or not. So you might as well take a deep breath and visualize what it is you want to call in that day, okay? And use that time. That's spiritual practice, you know? All of these things are things that don't take, I mean, that doesn't take extra time. So exercise, like I said, you could change that up for a more spiritual type of exercise. You could be doing yoga, or while you're going for your run, or while you're at the gym. You can spend that time connecting with your spirit team. Ask for signs. Look for signs. You know, you can do that while you're walking to the shops. You can do that while you're out for your run. Instead of scrolling on social media for hours every day, you could listen to a spiritual podcast or watch a spiritual YouTube video. You know, even while you're doing your housework, you can listen to an ebook, a spiritual ebook, because the more you study spirituality in terms of reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, that's spiritual practice. The more you do that, the more you're expanding your consciousness, stripping back the layers of programming and conditioning, and starting to remember what you knew before you were veiled when you came into this incarnation. So it's starting to remember who you are at soul level. That's all spiritual practice. You will get to a point in your spiritual development where you realize you need a deeper healing, okay? You may need to do some deep healing in terms of past life traumas or generational imprints, generational traumas and things like that you're carrying in your DNA, you're carrying in your cellular memory. And that is going to take that little bit of extra effort. So that is going to take time. You're probably going to have to go and see a healer or something like that can help you to delve into that side of things. But as for everyday spiritual practice, it is not something that needs to be seen as this huge time-consuming thing that you have to add into your day. I mean, you know, connecting with your spirit team, or connecting with the angels, or connecting with the universe, you can literally have a deck of oracle cards and take 2 minutes out of your morning to pull a card for guidance for the day. And in that way, you are connecting with your spirit team. It doesn't have to be every second of every day. It doesn't have to be hours out of every day. But as I say, there will come a point on your spiritual journey where you need to put in a little bit more time and a little bit more effort, because there'll be some deeper healing that needs to take place. Taking time on your own is spiritual practice. So I think it's about changing the way that we think about spiritual practice and what that is. And also not getting caught up in the hype all over the internet and social media from spiritual teachers that are making it sound like you literally have to devote every minute of every day to spiritual practice, to spiritual healing, to expanding your consciousness and coming back to the truth of who you are as a spiritual being. Because I don't subscribe to that view. We are very much human beings as well as spiritual beings. And it's really important for us to remember that, you know, we chose to incarnate as human beings on earth so that we could experience that human experience. And that involves things like having to go to work and having responsibilities for family and friends and whatever that is. And those things are time consuming. But that's part of why we came here. Okay, so it's not about pushing all that aside and just devoting ourselves. You know, unfortunately, we can't all live like monks where literally your whole life is set up to spiritual practice. That's not possible for most of us. That's not the society that we live in. And actually, you know, these human experiences that we have are precisely why we came here, to help us evolve our consciousness faster. It's all about, first of all, it's about balance. Second of all, it's about understanding that you are human beings as well as spiritual beings. And third of all, about understanding that it's a way of being. And a lot of it is around mindset and awareness and consciousness, and bringing things from the subconscious mind into the conscious mind, so we're not running off autopilot. And then also just being aware when you get to that point where you need that deeper healing, knowing that it's then going to take that little bit of extra effort. But again, you'll go through times, like I go through times where I know I need to step back a bit from certain things. So I might not go out as much. I might not show up in my business quite as much. I might retreat a little bit for some weeks if there's deeper healing that needs to take place, because I need to make that a priority and allow myself the opportunity to really embrace that healing. And that can come with all sorts of, emotions come up and all sorts of things, especially when you're working through past life trauma and stuff. And it's important to really honor that and allow it to come up and allow yourself to work through it. But then I'll go through months where everything's easy and flowing. And this is the thing, when you are honoring your spiritual being side of you, is that life flows a lot easier. And all of these things that you feel like you have to do, life is so busy all the time, all of a sudden time doesn't seem so restrictive, and things just don't seem to take so long, because life starts to flow. The universe starts to synchronize things for you, line things up for you, send people and opportunities into your path that just make things so much easier for you. So any time that you do put in, trust me when I tell you, you get it back tenfold. I hope you guys have learned a little bit around spiritual practice, and I hope it's kind of changed the way you think a little bit around spiritual practice, so that it encourages you to invest in it. And I don't mean invest in a monetary sense. I mean invest your priority in it, and understanding that it's a way of being and not just something you do. Okay, and that's really important, is integrating it into who you are rather than what you do. Okay, spirituality is not something you do, it's something you are.